czar of the country's border security, responsible for mass deportations, and now he's speaking at UTEP. We bring you the reactions. Ever wish your car could get more miles per gallon? That's not likely to happen anytime soon. Now there's a new federal plan in the works. Back in the borderland, the sunshine and the cool temps have us layering up. Hello, Tirza.
Cristina, we saw cooler temperatures and calm winds this afternoon, with near and even below freezing lows forecasted for a good portion of the region tonight. In our full 9-day forecast, they will have more details on how long these conditions will last. Your KTSM 9 Plus starts right now.
You're watching KTSM 9 News First at 4. Starts right now.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to KTSM 9 Plus, your digital newscast. I'm Cristina Rodda, in for Monica Cortez. Tom Homan's visit to UTEP already drawing pushback from community groups and local government leaders days before he landed in the borderland. And tonight, ahead of the event where he's scheduled to speak, several organizations ready their protests. That's where we find KTSM 9 News reporter Diana Castillo. Hello, Diana.
Hi, Cristina. Now we are across Leech Grove. You can see right now it is empty. It is quiet. Now this is just a couple of steps away, a short walk away from where Tom Homan is expected to speak tonight. Now that area right now, Leech Grove, that's where protesters are expected to protest. Several organizations are expected to show up. And one of those organizations is El Chuco Habla, or El Paso Speaks. Their demonstration is scheduled for 5 o'clock today. Now, in a news release sent earlier this week, the group called Homan an architect of Trump's cruel detention and mass deportation. And this isn't the only protest to Homan's visit this week. Just yesterday, the Border Network for Human Rights, along with other advocacy groups, gathered right here at UTEP to voice their opposition. Our crews spoke with organizers at that event.
It's clear for us that he's the personification of all of the bad things that are happening to refugees, immigrant communities, migrant communities, citizens and non-citizens, and border residents.
Now, it is important to point out that even though Homan is set to speak on the UTEP campus, this is not a UTEP-hosted event. It's organized by Turning Point USA, the local chapter of a national organization founded by the late Charlie Kirk. Now, last week, the chapter sent a statement to KTSM saying, in part, we, the students, hope to bring back the concept of open dialogue and respect between parties of differing opinions. They added, we will continue with our mission, aiming to challenge students to think for themselves, research, dig deep, and thrive in a community that reflects what El Paso cherishes: faith, family, and freedom. Now again, the demonstration here at Leech Grove is expected to take place about 5 o'clock. Homan is expected to speak at around 7 p.m. Now we will be out here all day to bring you the latest updates. For now, reporting from UTEP, Diana Castillo, KTSM 9 News.
All right, thank you, Diana, so much. And as we mentioned, the Border Network for Human Rights, along with other advocacy groups, held a peaceful assembly yesterday at UTEP ahead of the border czar Tom Homan's visit. Now, the group says this event was focused on speaking on the harms caused by the Trump administration's mass deportation policies, the militarization of the border, and the ongoing assaults on constitutional and human rights.
I think we need to balance. We need to balance the narrative. I think it is important to say this, especially here at the border, because we've been suffering militarization as never before, first at the border, now in the interior. I mean, we have seen the violation of the Constitution for many years.
Republican leaders say they believe the visit is an exercise of free speech and an important chance for the community to hear directly from Homan. We go to other news now. El Paso Club Lava Lounge is now permanently closed after a final settlement was signed between the El Paso County Attorney's Office and the owners of the club. Now, the club was allegedly involved in criminal activity. The County Attorney's Office says the Lava Lounge has been closed since November under a temporary restraining order. The club reportedly violated state law by selling alcohol during prohibited hours while operating as a bring your own beverage after hours club and operating as an unregistered sexually oriented business. Law enforcement and emergency services also responded to the club 18 times between the time of July 2024 and September of this year. The final settlement terminates the litigation and ensures the club will not reopen. The owners will also pay $12,000 in civil penalties to El Paso County. We go now to state news. Officials from the Texas Department of Public Safety say they found 23 migrants stuffed in the sleeping area of a semi-truck cab near the U.S.-Mexico border on November 28th. Officials from the DPS say they stopped a truck driver and discovered he didn't have a commercial driver's license. Now, while searching his vehicle, officials found 23 people stuffed inside the sleeping area of the truck. Behind the front seats, they said, the 24-year-old driver was arrested and charged with 23 counts of smuggling of persons. DPS say that the migrants found in the truck were from Nicaragua, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and Mexico. Well, it's time to get a sneak peek outdoors through our tower cam. It's sunshine most of the afternoon, and you can see it out there. Forecaster Tirza Ortiz is here now. Hi, Tirza, and how about this weather? I can't explain it. I'm sure you can.
Well, it's my job to attempt to explain it. Yeah, we had very beautiful conditions. We were looking at very mild temperatures. We're actually below average for a good portion of the afternoon because we did have an upper level disturbance right above us coming down into our region. It brought cooler temperatures, not quite as cool as some of our friends got over in New Mexico, but cool enough to really feel that difference. We are looking at a freeze warning over in Arizona. Now, we are also going to hit some freezing conditions in portions of the borderland. For El Paso, we are getting very close, and we're actually getting very cold for tonight, but right now we're currently at 58 degrees, 59 over in Juarez. We're looking to be in those low 50s already for Las Cruces, Alamogordo, TRC, Deming at 56 with Silver City at 52 degrees. Now, when we take a look at what to expect for your weekend, we're once again going back to above average temperatures. It will be pretty good, though, if you want to get outdoors and enjoy any type of festivities. But to say we are going to get actual cold temperatures, at least for this forecasting period, I'll bring you those full details in just a little bit. But for now, Cristina, I'll go ahead and send it back over to you.
All right, Tirza, thank you so much. Well, if you're getting ready to hit the road from work or school, or maybe after a day of Christmas shopping, this is what it looks like outside at I-10 and Viscount, where you can see plenty of vehicles probably coming from Christmas shopping. That's what a lot of people are doing right now. But no accidents to report. Earlier in the day, I-10 east and west, both directions, did have crashes to report. I-10 and Viscount looking pretty good. I-10 and Schuster, not very many vehicles out there. No cones or barrels to see, and no traffic accidents. That's great news. Well, the president has a new plan to change a vehicle's federal standard on its gas per mile. In today's Political Minute, Blake Berman breaks down the proposal on fuel efficiency standards.
Revving up a new debate. I'm Blake Berman, host of The Hill on News Nation. The White House unveiling its plan to roll back Biden-era fuel efficiency standards for vehicles all across the country.
Today, my administration has taken historic action to lower costs for American consumers, protect American auto jobs, and make buying a car much more affordable for countless American families and also safer.
Under rules from the prior administration, vehicles would need to reach more than 50 miles per gallon by 2031. The Trump White House says that would raise the cost of cars and trucks, and are now calling for it to be lowered to 34.5 miles per gallon. The California Governor Gavin Newsom pushing back, saying it crosses the line. He contends it will help oil companies and weaken protections. I'm Blake Berman, and this is the News Nation Political Minute.
Well, coming up, UTEP professor Max Grossman's domestic violence case dismissed. We hear what some of you had to say about this case in our comments segment. Also ahead, George Clooney and Adam Sandler make their return to the big screen. And there's some new shows coming to Netflix this week that might be worth a watch. Our Dean Richards gives us a sneak peek of all of it. Thanks so much for watching KTSM 9+, always putting local first.
Scan to download KTSM Plus free.
details.
Welcome back. Well, the case of UTEP's associate professor and prominent community activist Max Grossman, who was arrested back in September in connection with a domestic incident, has been dismissed. Records show that Grossman was granted a pre-trial deferment, a voluntary program aimed at preventing criminal conviction. This decision came after the El Paso District Attorney's Office chose not to move forward with prosecution. Now, the alleged incident involved a physical altercation with his girlfriend at their shared home. Grossman's attorney confirmed he had completed victim impact classes and is expected to have his record partially expunged, though he will need to waive certain rights to prevent future diversions. Well, we shared this story to our social media pages, and a lot of you had some thoughts that you wanted to share with us. Simon Jimenez Jr. writes, he'll be back to try to be relevant. Armin Vincent, he says, is he going to take care of Duranguito or no? James Ratcliffe says, a woman's revenge. Did she get sued for falsely giving him a bad name? More women should be in prison for defamation against men. And finally, Ocho Ocho writes in part, doesn't mean he's not guilty. Once an abuser, always an abuser. Well, clearly some of you had very different opinions, but we want to hear all of your opinions, so make sure that you are following us on our social media platforms to keep in touch with us through the comments section. All right, coming up next, a deal that would put an income tax on the people eligible for the subsidies. More on the bipartisan health care plan in just a bit. city of Sunland Park is in the holiday spirit with their annual Christmas tree lighting and parade celebration. That event is happening this Friday at Sunland City Hall on McNutt Road. The parade begins on Futurity Road at 5 p.m. and the tree lighting at 6 p.m. Now you'll be able to meet Santa and his elves, yay, as they light the Christmas tree, and they also take pictures. There's also going to be free pony rides and train rides along with fireworks. Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun, right, Tirza? And with all these like Christmas parades, tree lightings, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Every weekend we have another tree lighting, some type of event happening. So, I mean, there is just a plentiful of things to do. And you know what? We will be looking at pretty good conditions for the weekend, relatively on the warmer end, but not too bad if you want to get outdoors and enjoy that tree lighting. Our winds should be calm on Friday. Overall, we are looking at a warming uptrend. We are going to hit around average temperatures going into the weekend, but once we're past that, we're rising right back up to those upper 60s, even potentially hitting those 70s as we get to the end of our forecasting period. Let's focus on today, though. We did have quite an active 24 hours, 58 degrees currently out the door. Very calm winds are moving through our area. 34% is that current humidity level. Taking a look at Las Cruces, plenty of sunshine. We are in those low 50s. Light winds as well, moving from the southwest at 10 miles per hour. And checking out those wind gusts, they are currently tracking on the lighter end as well. 8 for El Paso, 2 over in Juarez, Las Cruces, 6. We're looking at more 8s over in Silver City and Deming, Tier C as well. And moving up to New Mexico, 5 over in Ruidoso, 3 for Cloudcroft, and 2 over in Alamogordo. So really across the region, it looks like we're pretty calm. Now for tonight, we are getting quite cold. We are going to drop well below freezing, looking at 25 degrees over in Ruidoso, those low 20s for Cloudcroft, 32 over in Alamogordo, TRC as well. Deming barely below that mark at 31, 27 over in Silver City. Really the whole region is just cooling down pretty significantly. 37 degrees in El Paso, so we're not quite to freezing yet, but because of those light wind chills and the extra humidity in the area, it will feel cold, especially if you're heading outdoors. Let's go ahead and focus a little bit more on tonight. Now we do have the super moon coming out for tonight. It is the last one of the year and it is known as the cold moon, but because we are looking at partly cloudy skies, just make sure you're peeking out there every now and again. If you don't see it for 1 hour, I would recommend going out and checking again just to make sure that that cloud cover doesn't hinder you from checking out that very cool super moon that will be lighting up our sky for tonight. 32 degrees over in Las Cruces. Again, we are hitting that freezing mark. We're looking at those broken clouds. It will be easier to see that supermoon over in Las Cruces and over in New Mexico. But again, very light winds, 5 to 10 miles per hour. And with those freezing temperatures, just remember, you want to check on people that you care about. Bring your pets indoors. If you're cold, they're cold. Bring those plants inside or prep them for the cold temperatures and make sure your pipes are all good to go so you don't wake up to a disaster. Now for tomorrow, we are going to be on the warmer end. 62 degrees, we're closer to average, but we are seeing that warming trend happening, and we're also going to be quite dry. We're looking at very light winds moving 10 to 15 miles per hour from the west. Taking a look over at Las Cruces, 60 degrees, not as warm, but we are looking at those mostly sunny skies. It will be pretty calm again, 5 to 10 miles per hour from the west as well. Overall, not a bad way to enter the weekend. For the rest of the region, 48 degrees over in Ruidoso, 38 degrees over in Cloudcroft, moving down to Guadalupe Pass, 56 degrees, pretty comfortable, 63 degrees for Van Horn, and we're looking at 61 degrees for Juarez. Now coming up for the rest of the hour, I will break down the rest of our 9 hours and what we have in store for the rest of the forecasting period. But don't go anywhere. We do have more news coming up. You're watching KTSM 9 News now.
Well, it's great to have you back. The weekend is almost here, and there are some new movies and series hitting the big screen and streaming services. Dean Richards has all the previews.
That's like a movie where I'm playing myself.
4 new movies this week. George Clooney is an aging movie star, pondering his career and trying to reconnect with his grown-up daughter. Adam Sandler co-stars in an award-winning dramatic role in Jay Kelly, beginning streaming Friday on Netflix.
Where is Mom?
35 years of marriage, and I've never lost your mother, not once.
Michelle Pfeiffer is an overworked mom being taken for granted by her family, who decides to take off for some me time during the holidays. Dennis Leary and Felicity Jones co-star in Oh, What Fun, now on Amazon Prime. And a single mom disguises herself as a man to get a job as a ski resort Santa so her daughter can get snowboarding lessons. The Christmas rom-com My Secret Santa is on Netflix now.
Greg has a talent for spinning disasters out of thin air.
Also this week, Disney Plus presents the new animated adaptation Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Last Straw, starting Friday. And Ed Burns delivers a holiday sequel to his 90s hit The Brothers McMullen on HBO Max. See The Family McMullen on Friday.
We don't stand together. She'll take everything.
For new streaming series this week, Gillian Anderson and Lena Headey head up 2 families going to war over a piece of property in the Old West. The Abandons drops on Thursday on Netflix. For new documentaries, there's never-before-seen footage in the new controversial series on the downfall of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. Sean Combs' The Reckoning is on Netflix now.
Mr. Paul Anka. Mr. Paul Anka.
Look back at the life and career of singer-songwriter Paul Anka in Paul Anka His Way on HBO Max now. And follow 2 members of the K-pop boy band BTS as they begin their stint in the South Korean military. Are You Sure is on Disney Plus now. And head inside the offices of New Yorker magazine to celebrate its centennial anniversary. The New Yorker at 100 is on Netflix on Friday. Finally, David Letterman sits down with fellow comedy legend Adam Sandler for the newest episode of his interview series, My Next Guest Needs No Introduction. See it on Netflix now.
What a range of entertainment. It all looks pretty good. Well, don't go anywhere. We have another half hour of news and weather coming up after the break. You're watching KTSM 9 News Plus. Welcome back to KTSM 9 News First at 4. We are back with breaking news. The Supreme Court has allowed Texas to use a congressional map favorable to Republicans next year. The new congressional map can be used in next year's midterm election to maximize Republican political power. The ruling appeared to be 6-3, with 3 liberal justices dissenting. The map is drawn with the aim of adding up to 5 additional Republican House seats. Now, the decision marks a win for President Donald Trump, who filed a brief urging the court to rule in favor of Texas. In other news, Tom Homan's visit to UTEP already drawing pushback from community groups and local government leaders, days before he even landed in the borderland. And tonight, ahead of the event where he's scheduled to speak, several organizations ready their protests. One of the groups expected to protest tonight is El Paso Chuco Habla, or El Paso Speaks. Their demonstration is scheduled for just about an hour from now. Even though Homan is set to speak on the UTEP campus, this is not a UTEP-hosted event. It's organized by the Turning Point USA, the local chapter of a national organization founded by the late Charlie Kirk. Again, the demonstration at Leech Grove set to start in just under an hour, and Diana Castillo will be there to bring you the very latest. Now we go to Senate Bill 8, or the Women's Privacy Act, and it's going into effect today across Texas. It will require people to use multi-stall restrooms, changing areas, or locker rooms that matches the sex they were assigned at birth. This applies to public schools, city and county buildings, public universities, state agencies, and jails. Supporters say it protects privacy in shared spaces, but others worry the law could have negative impacts, especially for transgender people.
When you actually read the piece of legislation, it is very vaguely written. People don't even really know how to be in compliance for this, which means that our trans community is going to be in this weird place of not knowing whether or not they can go into a bathroom, whether they should go into a bathroom, whether this is protected, whether this isn't protected. This is going to create a constant state of stress and distress.
The law does include several exemptions, including single occupancy restrooms, family restrooms, and private changing spaces. It also makes exceptions for young children accompanied by an adult, people assisting someone with a disability, emergency medical situations, and custodial or maintenance staff doing their jobs. And in case you missed it, the would-be developers of a proposed entertainment hub in Sunland Park are suing members of city council and local business owners for rejecting the project after the city approved it about 6 months ago. They claim it was a conflict of interest for a city councilor that ended that project. Developers now want restitution for losing money by not building the hub and losing out on other business opportunities and commitments based on the city's approval of the project. KTSM 9 News reporter Jesus Baltazar has the very latest.
Dozens of the city council members named in the suit are in clear conflict with its own procedures and with the approvals already in place. We feel their actions were both arbitrary and illegal in blocking the cannabis license and plat process.
Independent Nation's lawsuit against the city of Sunland Park, naming 5 city council members, months after the council rejected the approval of their entertainment complex, which at one point received business and community pushback. But the lawsuit claiming the project was stalled due to the distribution of misleading claims, one of which developers say falsely claimed that the project did not meet city zoning rules. The other claims allegedly made through an organized smearing campaign by 13 cannabis businesses also listed in the suit.
The dispensary's inclusion in our project was a direct response to the city's own request for entertainment district concepts that offered more than standalone cannabis storefronts. The loudest critics have been the anti-competitive cannabis operators themselves. The dispensary being developed adjacent to our development meets every state requirement and complies with all local regulations.
The lawsuit also arguing the council voted on the proposal without disclosing potential conflicts of interest regarding familial ties between Councilwoman Daisy Lira and the owner of one of the dispensaries that is alleged to be part of the smearing campaign.
While we respect the authority of the council, these overlapping family and employment relationships raise legitimate questions about the objectivity of the decision and whether the individuals involved should have recused themselves from the vote at a minimum.
That was Jesus Baltasar reporting. Now, we did reach out to the city of Sunland Park and the council members named in the lawsuit for comment. So far, only getting a response from Councilwoman Daisy Lira offering the following statement. What I can say is that my decisions as a councilwoman have always been guided by transparency, integrity, and what I believe is in the best interest of the residents of Sunland Park. I remain committed to serving my community with the same values and dedication, end quote. Well, you can read more on this story by visiting KTSM.com. And Texas homeowners are paying some of the highest insurance rates in the country. A report from the advocacy group Unlocking America's Future found premiums rose 55% since 2019. Texas House Democrats argue the problem arises from insurance-backed legislation, while representatives of insurance companies say it's a much more complex issue. State Capitol reporter Adam Schwager reports.
Texas homeowners pay the third highest rates for home insurance in the country. And House Democrats say the insurance homeowners are getting isn't coming through when they need it.
10 major companies in our state denied more than half the claims they received.
Financial rating agency Weiss Ratings measures insurance claims. Its data found 47% of claims were closed without payment in Texas from 2024, up from 35% in 2016. Democrats blame a 2017 insurance company-backed law, which they say made it harder to sue for insurance denials and lowered the punishment for wrongful denials.
When you weaken penalties for bad behavior, you get more bad behavior.
The insurance companies see the law differently. They say they wanted to streamline the litigation process and that their main target was high-profile attorneys by capping out how much can be paid in attorney's fees.
These billboard attorneys are able to get from the consumer, and they're essentially taking it from the consumer out of their pocket if they were successful in litigating a case.
According to state data compiled by the Texas Coalition for Affordable Insurance Solutions, insurance companies operated at a loss between 2018 and 2022, with Winter Storm Uri leading to companies paying out $1.41 for every dollar they took in 2022. The insurance companies say Texas's premiums are uniquely high because living in Texas is a unique risk.
We have every peril, every storm that you can think of, from hurricanes, tornadoes, windstorms, hail. Now we have ice storms that we've seen over the last couple of years.
The one solution both Democrats and insurance companies seem to be in favor of, using building techniques and materials to better withstand disasters.
There are discussions that we need to start having about how we prepare for storms and how we start building and rebuilding more resiliently.
We can be a forward-thinking state, just like other Gulf Coast states have been, and create resilience discounts.
The two sides still disagree on exactly how resilience incentives should be structured. In Austin, I'm Adam Schwager.
Well, barring a special session, the Texas legislature cannot take any action on insurance regulations until their next session that starts in 2027. The Texas Department of Insurance says some filed claims can be settled without payment if the claim amount is lower than the policy's deductible. Well, it is time for a live look outside through our tower cam, and there's no hiding that sunshine, but you know what? It was chilly outside. Let's go straight to forecaster Tirza Ortiz. And Tirza, I was layered up today.
Were you? No, in the morning, definitely chilly. And we were actually on the cooler end. Now, the day before, we had a high of 69 degrees, Cristina. For today, we were in those upper 50s. So I don't blame you for layering. I am right there with you. But you know what? We're going to continue to see those very cold mornings. For the afternoon, we are going back to above average. Taking a look at our watches and our warnings, though, for today, we're looking at a pretty inactive board. Our active period was these past 24 hours. And now, as we continue to move through the rest of our forecasting period, it's safe to say we are going to be a lot calmer and more quiet, but we are going to be quite cool as we head into our overnight hours. Taking a look out the door, though, we're currently at 58 degrees in El Paso, 59 over in Juarez, Las Cruces in those low 50s. We're looking at 50 degrees over in TRC and up in Rio Doce, so already in the 30s, 39 degrees, and we're only getting cooler. And even for Cloudcroft, we are below freezing, sitting at 29 degrees. So across across the region, we are looking at very cold temperatures as we continue to move into our evening hours. Now, taking a look at our temperature trend, though, we are going to be pretty average for a good couple of the days as we head into the weekend. But once we get into the new work week, we're going back to above average temperatures, well above average, actually. We're even potentially going to hit those low 70s for next weekend. And I will have a full breakdown in our 9-day forecast in just a little bit. But for now, Christina, I'll send it back over to you.
Thank you, Tirza. Lawmakers released different plans today to try and avoid a spike in health insurance premiums. Now, the Senate Republican leader promised Democrats a vote on it if they agree to end the 43-day government shutdown last month. Washington correspondent Vinay Simlat explains the dueling plans.
The Kaiser Family Foundation warns Americans who buy their own health insurance could see the price of premiums spike by more than 75%, and 4 million Americans won't be able to afford health care unless Congress extends enhanced tax credits.
Okay, you guys ready?
27 days before they expired, two groups of lawmakers announced they have plans to avoid the cost increase.
There needs to be a plan. To not put one forward is idiotic.
In the House, Republicans and Democrats released what they call the Common Ground Framework. It would extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits for a year, adding income limits and guardrails.
We put a plan together, and we did it in a great bipartisan way with a lot of people who are very common sense members of Congress.
Even though Republicans and Democrats have signed on to this bipartisan framework, leadership in the House and Senate so far has not publicly supported it.
My understanding that the Common Ground Framework has the support perhaps of a handful of members of the House of Representatives, less than 10.
House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries downplayed the bipartisan proposal. Instead, he threw his support behind a 3-year tax credit extension. Senator Chuck Schumer announced it, and so far only Senate Democrats have said they'll support it.
This is a good faith proposal.
Senate Majority Leader John Thune promised Democrats will get a vote, but didn't promise it would pass. Schumer says he wants the vote next Thursday. In Washington, I'm Vinay Simlat.
And coming up, have you ever wondered who is responsible for cleaning up the aftermath of a vehicle wreck? We have that answer and what many of you had to say in our The Comments segment. Thanks for watching KTSM 9 News First at 4, putting local first.
Scan to download KTSM Plus free.
back. And Tirza, I have to ask you, you know what Loteria is, right?
Oh, of course.
Okay, so downtown, starting today, they're going to have games of Loteria for Winterfest.
Oh.
You win prizes. They're going to have vendors out there. It's going to be so much fun. But the weather, I'm worried about the weather.
You know what? The weather does play a big role in how enjoyable any type of game, no matter the prize, the weather is always going to be a factor. Good news, we are going to get cool, but we should be calm. We're looking at very dry conditions, colder at night, of course, but we are in that season where you should be bringing a jacket anyways. That way you really get to feel the festivities and actually like we are having a winter. So you know what? If you want to go out and play Loteria, I would say do it. Just make sure you're bringing a jacket because those wind chills can get pretty chilly. We had a beautiful day for today, though, and as we're ending the rest of our Thursday, going into our evening, we're looking at conditions pretty cloudy still. 58 degrees is out the door. We're looking at very light winds moving through the borderland region. That humidity is also on the lower end for El Paso. Now over in Las Cruces, we're already down to those low 50s, 53 degrees out the door with very light winds moving from the southwest at 7 miles per hour, and humidity is also in the lower end over in New Mexico. Taking a look at those wind gusts, they did rise up just a little bit over in El Paso. We're currently at a 9, a 2 over in Juarez, 6 miles per hour over in Las Cruces. Moving up to Ruidoso 5, Cloudcroft 3, and Alamogordo is sitting at about a 2. And as we continue to move into our overnight hours, not only are we getting cooler, but we're also getting calmer. For tonight, we are hitting some freezing low conditions, 25 degrees in Ruidoso, 22 over in Cloudcroft, Alamogordo, right at that freezing mark, 32 degrees, Las Cruces as well. TRC, Deming barely below at 31 degrees, and taking a look at El Paso, we'll be at around 37 degrees. But again, with that wind chill, it can feel cooler, so make sure you're bringing a jacket. Now, the thing about today, too, is we have the final supermoon of the year. It is called the cold moon for December, but we are going to be partly cloudy, so make sure if you're heading outdoors to look at it, just really take a peek around because those cloud cover can really hinder our visuals, but it should be pretty good. We shouldn't be cloudy for the whole night, so I would recommend going out and taking a look at the sky. We're looking at a relatively calm and quiet night, though, in El Paso and over in Las Cruces will be, again, at 32 degrees. And remember, with those freezing conditions, to bring those pets in and check in on people and protect those pipes. You don't want to wake up to a mess in the morning. For our highs tomorrow, we're warming up to 48 degrees in Ruidoso, 38 over in Cloudcroft, 62 for El Paso, and 61 over in Juarez. We are looking at a warmer day, but those winds will be pretty calm, and we're looking at more sunshine too to welcome the weekend. We have 7s across the board for our allergy forecast, so we are looking pretty good for that department. Now, for the rest of our 9 hours, I did say we are going to be partly cloudy. It won't be for the whole entire evening, but for a good portion. By 9 p.m., we're down to 50 degrees. Come midnight, 47 degrees, and then we'll hit 45 for our 2 a.m. hour. Let's go ahead and take a look at our 9-day forecast, though. The past 24 hours were the most active for the forecasting period. Moving forward, lots of sunshine on the board. We have one windy and gusty day for Saturday. We're looking at 63 degrees for that high. If you want to take a look at the lows, they are going to be cooler, so just plan ahead when you're heading out the door in the morning. 65 degrees come Tuesday, and we're up to 69 degrees for your Wednesday. But again, plenty of sunshine, so it really shouldn't cast a huge shadow for your day. We'll be in those low 70s as we continue to go through the rest of the week and ending that work week heading into the weekend. Overall, though, beautiful conditions. I would just recommend being prepared for Saturday. Maybe no hats. Those gusts can get up to 25 miles per hour. Christina?
All right, Tirza, we are warned, and as Tirza said, grab a jacket if you're heading outdoors. We're at US 54 and Rivera, and this is where a lot of the traffic is backed up. You can see it heading east, I believe, and there's no way around that. I-10 and McRae, traffic moving very smoothly, very quickly, including on the service roads. No barrels or cones or any crashes to report at this time. We're going to move on to our comments segment. Have you ever wondered who is responsible for cleaning up the aftermath of a vehicle wreck? Well, recently a viewer reached out to KTSM News on the matter after debris left behind of a vehicle wreck had been sitting on the side of the road for weeks at Woodrow Bean and Trans Mountain in northeast El Paso. Now, the viewer asked who is responsible for cleaning up the debris, and unfortunately it's common around the city. Well, KTSM 9 News reached out to the El Paso Police Department asking about this. Police say they clean up falls, the on the towing companies that pick up the damaged vehicles. So we shared this story, of course, with you on social media, and many of you had some thoughts that you wanted to share. Manny Rodriguez writes, I drove a tow truck in Las Cruces in the late 60s. I had to clean up the wrecked parts before I left. This was mandated by the city and state. I see all types of parts from accidents here in EP, and no one picks up afterwards. This can cause damage to cars, flat tires, and maybe another accident. Nick Sandoval says, does that go for the crime scene and yellow tape too? And Daniel Dominguez, I'll do it for $5 and a hot Starbucks coffee. Well, here at KTSM, we value your opinion and we want to hear more from you. So make sure that you're following us on our social media platforms to keep in touch with us through our comments. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. This is KTSM 9 News, first at 4.
All right, we're getting a final look at your exclusive 9-day forecast, 62 degrees for your Friday, windy and gusty conditions for your Saturday, and then we'll be warming up come Sunday, going through the rest of the forecasting period. Plenty of sunshine, though. Overall, just beautiful conditions. We will be quite warm, though, for next week. We're looking at 70s, low 70s as we continue moving through December. But, Christina, don't forget to look up at the sky tonight because we do have our last supermoon of the year. That should already be peaking once that sun begins to go down.
All right, well, I'm excited. Don't go anywhere. Estella Casas is next with 9 News Now.
Hair and wardrobe provided by